Hi, my name is Charles Hugh. This is our first drawing sections, and I will be showing you guys how to sketch figures. And it's very important that you guys follow along and practice. Repetition practice is very important. So I will be also showing you guys using a variety of different material, which will be exactly what I use for my daily sketches. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So in this section, I'm gonna use a fountain pen, and the fountain pen that I have is by Faber-Castell, which I like their brand, and then use their other supplies like the charcoals, pastel charcoals also. These can come pretty pricey. This one that I have is costs about $60. You can have just use this, which I've been using this. Um, uh, before I got the Faber Pastel, it's just a preppy pen. I got this in one of a Japanese market, and these just at $4, and they're really inexpensive. And the reason why I picked this one up because this is one it was a little bit thin, and I felt that it wasn't probably not going to show on the camera well. So this one, I have a medium tip, which it says on the tip it has M on it. It's a medium tip, and this is what I'm going to be using today for these quick sketches. And the ink that I use is the Pelkin ink, and so basically that's what I use. Okay, I'm going to start from the left drawing first. And then in these 1 minute drawings, I'm mainly just gonna look for major gestures and shapes. So you see this fountain pen works pretty well, and they can get pretty direct. Okay, so and I'm gonna work on the one on the right too. So again, I'm gonna find the most. I'm basically think as almost as a comic book artist. What's the simplest and most character shape I can come up with without not really copying the drawings, because in this 1 minute poses is not really about copying it. Okay, so next pose. Again, find the gesture, find the flow. That's what these 1 minute it's about. I'm trying to flow. Move your arm. And then if you can get to all, that's fine. And then sometimes like you can see here, I overlap the poses, which that's fine to me also. Okay, didn't get too far from last pose. I'm gonna do a little quicker this time. So maybe I draw a little smaller. And this is exactly how I draw on locations too. Okay, so I'm gonna do the right side pose. I'm gonna look through this egg shape of the head using that sternocleidomastoid muscle to find the connection of the head to the body. I'm gonna keep this arm fairly strict so that she looks like she's supporting by that arm. Drawing through. Filling through. Next pose, I'm gonna probably just gonna draw it right here, and then like I said, I don't mind if I overlaps. So finding her shoulders right next to her face, gonna come down to the elbow and feel this her hand supporting on top of her thigh. Pose to the right. How the neck connect to the shoulder and flow down to the spine. The next pose. So I'm gonna just draw, and usually I think the face as a diamond shape, as you can see. You can, just draw out that facial mask where right before, in front of her ear. You can find that connection with the head. Drawing through, find the belly, find the crotch, make a little mark It's showing me where the end of the torso, and I also can complete the center line. So I can the pose like this, I can easily use that shoulder now to finding where that the since he overlapped the chin, so I can just use that to to find where to end on my face. I'm gonna keep this arm a little more square because she looks like she's supporting with this arm. Rib cage, waist, hip, drawing through. Sometimes I use this sacrum to help me to get a sense of where that hip begin. You can think of a box right here if you want. So here's the so you can get a sense of that hip, and then the leg connects up to the hip, and use the hamstring to find the next pose. I think I'm just gonna start with that back of neck since it looks like kind of stretching. I can just start with that. So like when I sketch on my own, I sometimes I start everywhere. I kind of sometimes start from the hand. And the trick is you just have to always compare what's next to it. For example, like the shoulders right next to that face. And then again, not the head to the flow of the neck. In this case, I'm gonna get a sense of the collarbones. Back to that rib cage. Drawing through. Belly, thigh. Okay, right side. Again, I'm gonna try to find the most interesting shapes and the relationship of shape. For example, if I'm looking at that hair on the top, to me, it looks like almost like a fire. So you see how that shapes. Flow down to the bandana, and then the ears is below that, and see everything has that little arrow comes out, like a flim comes up and stretch down and stopped by the compression of the shoulders, and then it pulls down and then flow right into the spine, down to the sacrums, turning up the hips, drawing through. And it's not all the time the gesture are quick. Sometimes, like I see, you can see here, if it's just supporting, I might slow it down. I might keep it, my line or the shapes, I might keep it firm. Just want to show there are tensions. Sometimes I might just kind of shade it right in. Always good to get a sense of that rib cage and how the waist flow into the hips. See it coming into the next gestures. And every time, and also when you draw the end, always compare the end to somewhere else. I love to compare diagonally. So it almost looks like you're looking at these corners on the silhouette to pluck almost like plotting the point. So now I'm going to draw the foot. So where I'm going to put that foot, I'm going to put it diagonally from that hip. So that's going to be the most interesting place to put it because it's a triangle, right? It's a triangle overall. I think I'm probably going to put this one down here. Things just, feel like she's maybe on the lower ground. And I'm going to start with the head. You can see I kind of build up each shapes, compare each relationships. Keep it on moving, because if you do that, like I said, you're naturally going to get a sense of that flow, even though sometime you might not kind of read it from your reference, but sometimes that flow of the hand still allow you to give a nice life to your drawings, a nice fluidity to your drawings. And that's what these 1 minute or 2 minutes in this case are what we're looking for. Corners, right? Compare. Sense of that rib cage, waist, the hip breaks to the back of the hip, finding the corner of the hip bones, comes back up, forward, and into the thigh. I can afford to make the thigh a little bit thinner than the reference because I can show it kind of goes away from us a little more. Or I can shade it. I can set it back away from us too. Left pose. I'm gonna try a little bit of. I'm gonna try to see if I can draw and shade at the same time. Just to see what result do we have, right? Now again, always think about that rhythms. The straight versus curve. Drawing through, find the iliac crest, finding the pubic area. Placement of the foot is very important. Give you a sense of the floor planes and then the perspective. So you have to be really be aware of which foot is in the back and which foot is in the front, so you can again get the sense of that the, the environment. Again, if you want to set things away, shade it down. And when I shade, also kind of just follow with the gesture, the flow. Just keep that energy going. And then see the gesture flow this way, and just, curve my direction this way. Right pose, and I think I have to draw a little smaller because I only have a little bit of small space left, but it's good to vary the sizes. Shoulder goes up, back goes down. Rib cage. How's the rib cage coming out from the front of the neck? Feel the gravity takes over the rib cage. The gravity takes over, the breast falls down towards the gravity. You can see the shadow also kind of does that too. There are things falls towards gravity. There were parts fighting against gravity. Like for example, this hip gonna push this up. Again, I'm gonna look at this native space and bring this thighs out. Okay, so I'm gonna feel that flow. Look at the hair. You can notice, you can really get a sense of that it kind of flows down this way and sits on that ground. And it kind of gets a little bit abstract with the hair shapes. So I'm gonna come back to give some sense of reality, which is that ear right here. And then it looks like the neck coming right here, and you can compare that neck to the shoulder on the side that kind of press right against the ground, and then they kick out the shoulder blade. Compare the shoulder blade to the other side of that shoulder blade. They got that little triangle tattoo right there, which I like. I can use that because that right a little bit right below that is the seventh vertebrae, which is the beginning of a neck, and that's gonna take me right to that the spine. Drawing through, get a sense of the rib cage. Now my other arms right here. And have a hand coming out. I'm gonna just do it, just impression of the hand, because I don't have the time to draw every detail of the fingers. I'm gonna again cut that angle of that hip, bring the thigh forward. Keep the lower thigh, I'm gonna keep it a little bit thinner, just push that into the distance. Drawing through, you can see when you draw through, you get that overlap. That's what we need, especially for these kind of foreshortening pose. We need to know where the shoulder section, the rib cage, the waist, and the thigh. Okay, see, the next pose is gonna be 5 minutes. I'm gonna also switch my my mediums. I'm gonna use again still Faber Castell It's a black color, and it's non-oil base. I know there's an oil base, and this is a chalk base. Uh, the reason because I kind of like the feel of this kind of chalk grinding onto the paper. I like that feel of that vibrations. Um, and so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be used for these 5 minute drawings. And also you notice you can't put these in a pencil sharpener, although you probably could. These all these hand carved because I need to have enough side so I can do more of the like the flat, wider strokes. And yeah, let's just get started. I'm gonna look at that, how much that rib cage distance. I'm gonna draw and then make sure you draw through. I'm gonna make a little mark, just tell me where that armpit is, and drawing through. Looks like compared that elbow, looks like the stomach sits a little bit higher. Knees right about right here. Screw up, make it too long. Again, look for the diagonal relationship to place your end. Make the part that close to you a little bit bigger than you think. And again, also drawing through. The other good thing about drawing through, besides just give a sense of the tonal volume, you also get a sense of a perspective. See how it goes back into that perspective. And so I know I'm gonna when I place that breast, the breast has to sit over on this kind of cylindrical shapes like this. Right, and look at the nipple. You also need that nipple also needs to be sits within that perspective too. So in that case, even though we're looking at a smaller detail, that smaller detail still has to reinforce the big idea. Rhythm. Right, swing, 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 and it goes back. It's gonna be what I find most exciting things to draw a figure or any organic object. They're gonna have this kind of continuous rhythm in it, and it's so beautiful. I think that's really beautiful and really exciting. So is the shadows. Let's see how the shadow will flow. It's gonna be like a wave, clash onto the next part and rise back up. Rise back up, falls down, and comes back down again. That harmonality is something that beside drawing, painting too, it's finding that common relationships. Cast shadows. again, sometimes this shadow on the ground can also be interesting. You can get a sense of, there is kind of floor. And for composition purpose also. Another 5 minutes. This one, I'm gonna draw it right here. You probably want to start from the head, especially for such a difficult head view. I just can't help it to see that long stretch on the back. And like I said, if you have more experience, you can kind of compare each section, and it's still not going to be easy. Still not going to be easy. But I sketch addictively. I show every day, and like I said earlier, I try to train, almost train myself, which I can start different area and still keep my game going. Watch out. Still need to know not just where the hand is where the hand connect into the arm and how the arm connect into that shoulder blade. Drawing through. Feel what's in the back. In this case, the hip is in the back of the rib cage. Side of the hip and the bottom of the hip. Even if you're going to do a round shape, still give a little bit sense of where that plane is. When you shade, the shortcut of shading, just think of a geometric shape. Obviously, I'm thinking about boxes. Keep your shadow shape exciting too. The shadow shape has to also flow to the next shape. See how this is gonna come in here? You can't just stop there. You're gonna flow to the next shadow shape. In this case, here's my top of my back, and here's the front of my arm. That means I'm looking at a tube. So what happened with that shadows? Right, it's gonna help me describe that top to that front plane. And in this case, it looks like the whole arm is in the shadow. So we're just gonna paint this whole thing, shade this whole thing. This might be a little bit sketchy, a little bit messy because I'm not quite, a little bit abstract. I'm not quite feel the end. I'm not quite feel the structures. Some people might just leave it. For me, I might just come back in. Just a little. It doesn't have to be a. You can just suggest a little. Suggest a little bit. Again, these cash out on the ground is still trying to tie it into your your figure. How you swing forward, look, come back in here, can add a little shadows on that neck. Boom, now they all connect. This gonna shadow probably gonna connect onto my face. Thank you for watching, and most importantly, make sure you practice. And if you want to improve your skill or bring your game to another level, click this button. Visit our new Master Academy website. We have 100 hours of art instructions, and hopefully you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.